What up, what up, what up, what up, what up, people? Just a nice little revision video for you guys. I know it's Sunday night, but I've been hard at work trying to get some things sorted out for you guys. I'm going to do things a little bit differently tonight. I'm going to do something where we've got a timer and we've got a candlelight to help us focus, so we're not focusing on things that we shouldn't be focusing on. Alright, I'm going to switch up the camera. Alright, isn't that nice? Let's twist that around. Let's really make it look great. Look at that. Oh, that is fantastic. Those skills. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to you tonight about the impact that voyages had on Elizabethan England, okay? It's a really important topic that we haven't revised through the videos, and that's what we're going to focus on, okay? So what I want you to do is I want you to grab a pen, grab some revision cards or a paper, and I want you to get yourself ready because we're going to go through it. So you're going to need probably about 4 revision cards or 4 pieces of paper to do this. So really this is for year 11 who have got their exam coming up on Tuesday, got their GCSE exams coming up in a couple of months. But what it can do is it can benefit the year 9s, year 10s, and you guys can get your revision cards ready as well. Alright, so on your first revision card, this is sort of your introductory revision card. So can you write the title, Impact of Voyages on Elizabethan England? And underneath it, I want you to write down what I'm going to say. So really it's should be about 5 bullet points. So bullet point 1. Elizabeth's reign can be described as the golden age, but also an age of discovery. Second bullet point. England led the way in discovery of the world, the new world, in something called circumnavigation. Third bullet point. Circumnavigation was an exploration of the world. Fourth bullet point. England benefited from circumnavigation because of sailors such as Sir Francis Drake, Sir Walter Raleigh and John Hawkins. Next bullet point. England, due to sailors like this, benefited in 3 key ways. First way is power, the second way is wealth, and the third way is territory. That should be your revision card done. That's all you need. So now what I want you to do is I want you to turn your revision card over, because now we're going to look more closely at the 3 ways that England was impacted by voyages. Remember, those 3 ways were power, wealth and territory. So we're going to look at each one more closely. It's been 3 minutes 27 seconds so far, so I'm hoping this video will be about 8 minutes long. Any longer than that, I know some of you are just going to stop watching. So what I'm going to do is I've got the timer there. I've got the sands of time, like it's a Prince of Persia. Love that film and that computer game if you ever played it. Great game on PS2. Love it. So we're going to look at each one more closely. So grab your pen again, turn your revision card over, and the one that we're going to focus on first is the wealth option, and then the other 2 are going to be power and territory. So your subheading is going to be the impact wealth had due to voyages, okay? Alright, so let's twist it up. So we're going to start. Let's see if I can do it this time. In 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, the timer started before I could start talking. Okay, so what I want you to do is, around the spider diagram, I want you to say wealth impact number 1 due to voyages. And this is what you're going to say. Your first line coming off of the circle will be stolen riches. England, due to exploration, gained wealth in 3 key ways. Number 1, stolen riches from the Spanish ships and brought them back to England. Some said that this was piracy, However, Elizabeth believed it benefited England, then they weren't pirates. Your second point, or your second leg on your spider diagram, will be trade systems. Development of trading systems with the East for products like silk and porcelain brought in a lot of money and wealth, which benefited England greatly due to the high demand for exotic products. Companies were developed like the East India Company to safeguard and oversee this trade. And your third bullet point, or your third line coming off of your spider diagram, will be slavery was the trading of mainly East African people who were captured and sold in Americas and used to develop raw materials like cotton. So make sure your subheading for this one is slavery. The time has run out. England gained vast amounts of money due to slavery, which benefited them through wealth, due to the selling of slaves and the selling of products that they were forced to produce. Now, an example of this was John Hawkins. John Hawkins was the first Englishman to actually go through the full system of slavery and gain some money and wealth from it. Okay, so that one is how wealth impacted England due to voyages. Okay, so we're going to move on to our next one. Next one is territory. Okay, so your new subheading, your new spider diagram will be territory impact of voyages. So let's do territory. Flip it up. Oh, time has started. Okay. So you're going to have probably about 2 or 3 spider legs coming off of your diagram. We're going to have 3 points. So the first one is new land. Territory was the expansion of England into owning new land that was newly discovered by Western Europe. England, like Spain, France and Holland, developed new colonies in the Americas. Here they could exploit raw materials by extracting them with minimal or zero cost and then selling them at a high price due to the lack of availability. This benefited England because they gained new land, which gave them more wealth. England really did benefit from this. Okay, second bullet point or second link is wealth. And where did they get it from? England mainly colonized North America and the West Indies, also known as the Caribbean. Sailors like Walter Raleigh were allowed to colonize any land not ruled by a Christian country. In return for this freedom, the newly colonized land, the person colonizing it would have to give the Queen 1/5 of all gold and silver found there. Time has run out. And they had to pay taxes on any produce sold. That is done with that one. So that's territory finished. So right now you should have probably, well, by the end, but up to this point you should have about 3 revision card sides completed now. Okay. Now just a side note about territory. Queen Elizabeth died. Queen Elizabeth I, she died in 1603. But if she had lived to 1607, she would have seen the very first full official colony, English colony, in what we call today the United States of America. That colony was called Jamestown, after, wait for it, James Stewart I. I had to drop that in, you know. But if she was alive, it could have actually been called Elizabethtown. I'm glad it's called Jamestown. I love the Stuarts. Anyone called James Stewart is just an absolute boss. Okay, so our next revision card will be focusing on power. So, how did England benefit from power? Okay, so how did voyages impact England? They impacted it through power. So it's the last point now. So you're going to need probably, it's going to be about 3 bullet points. Power. Due to the expansion of territory and the increased opportunities to gain wealth, England became more powerful. England needed a navy to protect its territories and its newfound wealth. So they invested in their navy to become a more powerful country, to be able to take on the Spanish threat. You could put that as under a subheading of problem. And then the next one you could put under a subheading of solved. So this is your next point. The development of weapons and skilled sailors like Francis Drake enabled English naval power to have an influence across the world. That's it. And then your final bullet point will be the eventual victory over the Spanish Armada depicted the new, more powerful, dominant position England held. Now, that should be your revision cards done for how and what was the impact voyages had on England. And that's it. 10-minute video. Love it. Just remember, I'm Mr. Stewart. Keep an eye out for the next video coming up. Don't forget to subscribe. Peace.